to my channel. It's Janet, and if you're new here, make sure you hit that red subscribe button. Give this video a like to let me know that you're liking my content, and don't forget to hit that notification bell so YouTube can notify you when I upload a new video. And if you're one of my returning subscribers, thank you so much for sharing my videos, liking, commenting. It is really helping my channel grow, and the more that you guys like and comment, it really pushes my channel out into the YouTube world. So thank you so much, and welcome back to my channel. We are keeping it really casual today, you guys. I'm just having a day off today. I'm doing a bunch of cleaning and things around the house that needs to get done. Jimmy is finally smoking all of our ham and bacon today, so it's gonna be an all-day ordeal for him. And I decided that I was going to have a roast chicken meal tonight. So usually once a week, we haven't been doing it too often, but definitely when both of the girls were home, we would have a Sunday dinner. That's kind of the thing that I grew up with having, actually, even in my childhood, was having dinner all together on a Sunday. So I want to start doing that again. Definitely, it doesn't have to be like a roast beef meal or a roast chicken meal, but just whatever sort of meal it is, just brings the family together, that we can enjoy each other's company, all sit at the table and just chat. That's what I love doing. I know my girls, now that they're getting older, they remember those times, and they remember all the conversations that we have at the table, whether it's at supper time, and we would even sit at the table after supper and still continue to talk. And it's definitely one of my favorite childhood memories, and hopefully I pass that along to my girls that enjoy it as well. So I thought today, since I did buy a pumpkin pie for my family, that kind of gave me the idea to do a trial run for Thanksgiving. Now, I'm going to be making a roast chicken today for supper, but normally for our traditional Thanksgiving, obviously we would be doing a turkey. Usually in the past, what we've been doing with our turkeys is we have been deep frying them. If you've never had a deep fried turkey, you guys need to try it. You need to get one of those big deep fryers that you can buy and have it for Thanksgiving or Christmas. That's what we do with our turkeys all the time, and it is an absolute huge hit. It doesn't take up the oven all day, takes no time at all. It cuts down your cooking time, and it is crispy on the outside and so moist inside. But today I'm going to be making a roast chicken, so I am going to be getting that ready to throw in the oven. I'll probably leave it in the oven. I tried to keep it on low for probably about 3 or 4 hours, but I thought that I would make a Thanksgiving dinner as a trial using a whole bunch of protein sparing modified fast recipes, so that if your Thanksgiving maybe falls on a protein sparing modified fast and you're really committed, that's impressive if you are going to commit for even on Thanksgiving Day, because Thanksgiving Day here is actually on a Monday, but we usually eat on a Sunday. So I am Canadian. I live in Southern Alberta in Canada. So our Canadian Thanksgiving actually is in 1 month. It is the weekend of October 10th, 11th, 12th. Thanksgiving Day is actually on the Monday, which I believe is the 11th. Don't quote me, I could be wrong, but I think that is the Monday that it falls on for Thanksgiving, but we always celebrate usually on the Sunday and have our big dinner and our Thanksgiving. So that is going to probably be a keto meal for me, because I have my keto refeed days on Sunday. As most of you know, if you're new here though, I am doing the protein sparing modified fasting. I'm alternating days with keto days during the week. Sunday is always my keto refeed day, so it really keeps it simple to keep track of. I don't screw up on my days. I don't have to look on a calendar to say what day is it, what am I supposed to be following today. It's easy. I don't mess up on any of my days, and it works out perfectly. I have regained about 20 pounds that I have gained since I reached my goal last year in 2020. So far, I've lost about 10 pounds, so I have another 10 to go. So that is kind of my mission over the next couple of months, is getting to goal and then figuring out a plan for my maintenance, because last year's plan never worked, so we are thinking of a new plan this time around. But I am going to share with you some amazing recipes that I have come up with. So make sure if you make any of these recipes or any variation, make sure that you tag myself, Janet Greta. You know, it is difficult kind of preparing all of these sort of recipes in your head and these recipes and have thought of. So I really appreciate it if you do mention my name. Of course, Maria Emmerich is the one who started all of this with the amazing Wonder Bread that we are all making variations to. But, you know, I definitely try my best to come up and be creative with all of these recipes. So, please, if you don't mind giving credit where credit is due, I would greatly appreciate it. So today we are going to be making, of course, the roast chicken. We are going to be making some protein sparing modified fast stuffing, protein sparing modified fast buns, some roasted cauliflower, and a protein sparing modified fast pumpkin pie. Pumpkin pie. It's one of my favorite pies. You guys know I love the lemon. I loved the chocolate cream pie that I have made. If you haven't seen those videos, make sure you go back on a few videos of mine and look those recipes up. They're absolutely amazing. So let's get started on this Thanksgiving trial. All right, so first I am going to be making my protein sparing modified fast bread. I use the same recipe for absolutely everything that I'm making today. I'm gonna make one batch today, and that one batch is actually going to be used for my pie crust, my buns, and also my stuffing. So let's get started. I will show you how I make it, but the recipe is always linked in my description. So you're not gonna have to take notes or pay attention to how much ingredients I'm incorporating. It'll all be listed down in the description for you. So let's get started on our bread.
I belong to you. Do just what you want. You're the one I trust, and I always be around when I need some loving, baby. No one else. Yeah. Let you down.
Now everybody has their own favorite recipes for this protein sparing modified fast, so this will work. Just use your favorite recipe that you have found. Everybody right now has like tons of different recipes, so just find the one that you like and definitely utilize that one. Like I said, mine is maybe a little bit different. I tweaked it kind of along the way, but this is the way that I like it. It never turns out dry. I use less egg white protein powder in mine, and it always turns out really, really good. So this one here, this first one that you're seeing, is going to be my stuffing. So I'm just going to put a fairly like thicker layer. You do not want to make it too thin, but also you don't want to make it too thick as well too. So I'm just using this shallow, I think it's a tiramisu pan is what it's called, out of that silicone set that I got. I have that linked in my description. It may be a little bit different than what I'm using because mine did increase in price on Amazon. I bought the whole set for, I think it was like 26 bucks, and it has been absolutely amazing. But I have linked a different set for a reasonably priced. I think it's around $30. But these silicone have been an absolute lifesaver. Like, they are the best. So highly recommend, if you don't have any silicone bakeware, to get them, and don't buy them separately. Buy them as a set. Definitely will save you a lot of money in the long run for sure. All right, next we are going to do our pie shell. You would have seen me making this in my other pie recipes that I created. So make sure if you make any of those, any pie recipes using this as the crust, please let me know. I love seeing all of your guys's creations that you have made using whatever sort of pie that you come up with. So make sure you let me know. So you're gonna wanna make sure that it's not gonna be a deep dish, but just make sure that it's higher around the edges so that you do get that kind of pie crust, right? So we're just gonna do that. Make sure that it's all up on the sides first. All right, make sure this is all even. And make sure that you have your crust. As you can see, all of mine is kind of up along the edges. We definitely want that because we are going to be filling it with pie filling today. All right, so I'm gonna set this just on the other side, and then on this one, I do not have a silicone pan for my buns or subs or anything. It's on my wish list. Hopefully maybe next payday I can get some, but for now I've just been making my buns just like freehand, I guess, if you want to say. And it's, you know what, it's been working fine, but I definitely want to get one of those pans. All right, let's try to make these. I'm gonna try to make, I guess, 4. I'm gonna probably make 4 actually, because I think that's gonna be the perfect amount. And then we're just gonna kind of shape them into buns. All right, what I'm going to do with my buns, you guys, I've mentioned this before, I do like some flavoring with my buns. So I'm just going to throw on some everything but the bagel seasoning. I make my own, like I have mentioned. I will never buy store-bought again. This tastes so, so good. So I'm going to throw it on my buns. These are going to be my dinner buns. And there we go. So what we're gonna do is I think I'm going to cook these for 15 minutes for all of them at 325. All right, next I'm going to get started on my roast chicken. I'm gonna show you how I make my roast chicken. Everybody kind of does theirs differently. This is just how I tend to do it. So in the bottom of this pan, I have mixed some chicken broth and some hot water. We just have the OXO brand, the packets, and so I used 2 of those and then just mixed it in here. I put half of it in the bottom, and then I put the other half kind of on the top of my chicken, and then I put seasonings on it. So let's get started on that. All right, so this is our chicken. I get my chickens from Costco, and then I just put one. It comes in a 3-pack for around $30, and then I put one in a baggie and then I freeze it. So that is what this is. So I just kind of get this all with the juice and get it all wet, because it's a little bit easier to put the seasonings on when your roast chicken is all wet. So some people say with the breast down to cook it like that. I honestly don't know. I usually do cook it with the breast down. I just feel like the breast stays a little bit more moist. It's totally up to you. Everybody makes their roast chicken differently. I'm not saying this is right and wrong. This is how I make mine. So I'm just gonna get the seasonings, and then I will show you what I put on my roast chicken. All right, so I don't use a whole lot of seasonings for mine, but I do use the Montreal chicken spice, and I use that all over my roast chicken. Now, sometimes I will put in a little bit of butter inside the cavity of my roast chicken. Today I'm not going to do that, but feel free. Like I said, this is pretty simple, so I'm just going to show you what I do. Then I put a little bit of minced garlic, a little bit of minced onion, and a salt and pepper, and that's all I'm going to put on it. And this gives it really, really good flavor. And then I make sure that I slow cook mine. I keep mine on a fairly low temperature, probably like around like 250 or 300. All right, so there we go. And then what I normally do sometimes as well is I'll just pour a little bit of the juice on the top. And then I'll just keep a little bit of the juice in here, and once in a while I just make sure that it's all moist and not drying out. So that is how I make my roast chicken. So I am going to put this in the oven, and after all of my protein spray modified fast baking is done, and then we are going to let this slow cook. All right, so my buns are all done. I made 4 buns and they turned out perfectly. So these are just going to let cool for a while, and then I'm gonna put them in a baggie. So those are all done for dinner tonight. And then my pie crust, I left everything in for 15 minutes. I took the pie crust and I also took the stuffing out at 15 minutes. I did not leave it in there for an additional 10 minutes or anything like that, but the buns I did leave in the oven with the oven turned off for 10 more minutes. So this is going to be my stuffing, and this is my pie crust. We are just going to make sure that this is completely cool and take it out of our silicone pans. So I just kind of work it. I know some people are having trouble with the silicone pans. I find the complete opposite. But definitely, you know, just be careful. This one here might crack a little bit. I'm noticing a few cracks. Sometimes if it is a little bit of a thinner pie shell, you will see a crack. But it doesn't affect, once you put the filling inside, it will be fine. So I'm just going to take these out of the pans. This one here looks like it's going to be fairly easy to take out, and this is going to be our stuffing. So I will show you what we will be doing with the stuffing, and also I will show you the recipe that I'm going to be using for the pumpkin pie. I also wanted to mention too, what I usually do is I'll turn my pan inside out, and that really helps to get my pie shell out of it as well too. As you can see, it's cracking a little bit, but you know what? It's still gonna be okay. And then just gently lift a little bit some of these come out easier than others, but that's why don't make your pie shell too thin, or else it's just going to be too thin, period, and it is going to crack and be like a whole big mess. But we're just gonna briefly take this apart and just get it off of this silicone. That's what I do even sometimes with my bread. I'll just turn it inside out and just slowly kind of work it off of the pan. So highly recommend if you're having trouble with your pans to give that a try. As you can see, there is some crust left in there, but you know what? It's gonna be okay. Once you get the pie filling in there, honestly, it's not gonna make a big difference. All right, next what I'm going to do is I am just gonna prep our stuffing a little bit. So I am just gonna cut this into little squares, and then we are going to throw it back in the oven to dry it all out, okay? So you're just going to do vertical squares and then horizontal squares and get it all into cubes. All right, so in here I have some butter. I am using dairy-free butter actually today, just to make sure that everybody who is definitely following the protein sparing modified fast with no dairy. So, and I put some in the bottom of my saucepan here, and then I put in some celery and some onion. Now, I didn't put very much because I don't have that much like stuffing to make with the amount of bread, but feel free to use however much that you want. So we are just going to make sure that these get all nice and softened, not necessarily browned, but just to make them all nice and soft. So about 10-15 minutes. All right, so what I ended up doing on the stove top is I showed you the mixture that I had, and I ended up adding the poultry seasoning and the rest of the spices plus the chicken broth as well to this whole entire thing, and then I just let it simmer for another 5 minutes on the stove. So what I'm going to do now, I decided that I'm not going to put this in because I do have to bake it again. So I just left these all cut up. I didn't put them back in the oven or anything. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pour a little bit at a time because we don't want our bread to get soggy. We just want to make sure that, you know, it is definitely all well combined. So I'm just going to slowly add a little bit at a time and give it a good stir. I'm going to add that much first, and then I'm going to give it a stir and see where we're at. So you're going to want to make sure everything is really well combined. And I think actually I might have made enough. I'm thinking so, because I don't, like I said, I don't want it mushy at all. And then we are going to put this in a container. I have a little loaf pan here, and I thought would work perfect for the size. And then we are just going to set it aside. But when it gets close to dinner time, then I'm going to put it in the oven. And I will share the temperatures with you for all of that as well too. So perfect. I think I actually just made just enough. So that worked out really, really well for the amount that I had. All right, we'll give it a nice good stir, and then we will put it inside our silicone loaf pan, and then it'll be ready to put in the oven whenever, probably about a half an hour before dinner time. There we go, and I'm going to be the only one that is going to be having this protein sparing modified stuffing, so that is going to be the perfect amount for me. And then, like I said, we will put it in the oven when we're close to dinner time. Next, we are going to be starting on our pumpkin filling for our pumpkin pie. So I will link this recipe as well. I'm just using the filling part of it, obviously. But this is going to be the filling part that I'm using. I'll link it in the description. And this is going to be dairy-free. So I thought, a lot of you guys that have been really gung-ho and really sticking to your dairy-free on your protein sparing modified fast days, I definitely thought of you. Now, like I said, I mostly have been sticking to dairy-free on my protein sparing modified fast days, but occasionally I find myself like using a little bit of butter, or, you know, just something that's little. It hasn't affected me. So, but for you guys that are doing this gung-ho and you're really keeping with your protocol, this is for you, a dairy-free pumpkin pie filling. So I just took 2 eggs and lightly beat them, and then we're going to add all of the rest of the ingredients And that will be it. We'll just make sure that everything is really, really well combined. So next, I have my scale here because I am going to be putting in 15 ounces of the pumpkin pie. So you want 100% pumpkin pie made from 100% like pumpkins. You don't want the pie filling, you want the 100% pumpkin. So I just zeroed out my scale here, and I'm just gonna plop in 15 ounces. Then next we are going to add 3/4 of a cup of granulated sugar. I have Swerve here that I'm going to be using today. Then you are gonna need 3/4 of a cup of the full fat canned coconut milk, okay? This is what's gonna make it dairy free, is we are gonna be using coconut milk instead of the heavy whipping cream. So you're gonna wanna use 3/4 of a cup of that. Make sure you shake it really, really well before you use it. It's one of those things that definitely needs to be shaken really well before you use it. So 3/4 of a cup of coconut milk. Then we are going to add 1.5 teaspoons of cinnamon. This is 1/2 of a teaspoon, so I'm going to use 3 of those. Then I am also going to use a teaspoon of my pumpkin pie spice that I have on hand. Now the recipe doesn't call for the pumpkin spice, it kind of gives a different mixture, but you guys can definitely follow the recipe and use what you have on hand. I believe it's nutmeg and ginger, I believe, is kind of the other ingredients, but this pumpkin pie kind of covers all of that. I'm going to put 3, I'm going to do 1.5 teaspoons of that. So I feel that's going to make the world a difference. There we go. And then we are just going to do a splash of vanilla. All right, there we go. I'm going to mix this all together. I'm going to do it slowly because obviously my little mixing bowl here wasn't enough. They also say that you can do this either in like a blender or your mixer as well too. So I'll see how well combined I get this, but I might throw this in my mixer. All right, so sorry, my mixture, I just hand whipped it all together and it turned out really, really good. And then I just poured it in our pie shell here. I'm going to stick this in the oven at 350 for about 20 minutes for this to all set, and then our pumpkin pie will be all ready for supper. All right, this is the pie out of the oven, so I'm definitely going to let this set until supper time, which will be probably about 3 hours. So I'm just going to actually leave it on my counter and let it all completely set, but it looks great. I think it's set enough. Sometimes when it starts to crack, that's usually a sign that it's done. I don't know if that's for sure, but we're gonna try it out and hopefully it'll turn out really, really good. So everything is done. My stuffing is ready for the oven. My pumpkin pie is done. The roast chicken is in the oven. And the only thing I have left to do is to make my roasted cauliflower, but I will make that probably like 1/2 hour before supper time, and I'll make the stuffing as well too at that time. So we will see you guys in the next clip. All right, I am just going to get my roasted cauliflower ready. So I am just gonna put some garlic olive oil on mine. Then I'm going to put some Redmond's salt on it and some minced onion, and then just a little bit of paprika as well. Right, and then we're just going to give that a quick mix just to make sure that everything is well combined on it. This is really good. I've made this before for a side dish and it tastes amazing. And then we are just going to put this in the oven and let it roast up for, it takes about 1/2 hour. And I also covered up my stuffing, and I'm going to put that in the oven as well with my roasted cauliflower. All right, this is going to be my dinner tonight. I have 4 ounces of chicken, 1/2 cup of roasted cauliflower, the protein sparing modified fast stuffing, and the bun with some of the no dairy butter on top of it. And I will let you know how this is after we eat, because we are having a family dinner at the table. And then I will try my pumpkin pie slice afterwards as well. All right, so supper was really, really good. That stuffing that I made was absolutely excellent. It was very good. The only thing I would suggest is maybe to cut it with scissors into smaller pieces for the bread crumbs, but other than that, it was very, very good. So now I'm going to have my pumpkin pie. So this you can have on your protein sparing modified fast days. Today is my refeed day, so I will be putting some whipped cream on top, but definitely give it a try. Looks absolutely amazing and it's set perfectly. All right, so that supper turned out so good. I put a little bit of gravy on top of my my turkey, just a tiny little bit, but it was delicious, absolutely delicious. So another thing that you can add to that is you can add your choice of vegetables that are really low in carbs. I tend to stick to cauliflower or green beans. Green beans is another one of my favorites. I make that a lot with my like Easter, or even at Christmas time I'll make like a green bean casserole that is made keto. So that was really good, and my pie was delicious. It turned out, I ended up putting all the pieces that I had left on a dish here, and this was one of my best pies that turned out yet. Like, there was no moisture or anything like that. It tasted really good. The pumpkin had really good flavor, so highly recommend you give this a try. I know everybody is coming out with pumpkin recipes right now, so pumpkin pie is definitely a favorite. So you can make your whole entire Thanksgiving meal protein sparing modified fast if you wanted to. So for me, like I said, I'll probably be doing a keto Thanksgiving this year, but I just wanted to try a couple of these recipes. I've had a few of you following that have asked for some stuffing and also for pumpkin pie. So those were kind of the two main things that I wanted to have, but I wanted to be able to make a meal that you can have on a protein sparing modified fast day. So what I plan on doing on my protein sparing modified fast day, because today was my keto day, but tomorrow is going to be a protein sparing modified fast day for me, and I'm going to have one of those buns and some turkey and some of that stuffing. That's what I'm going to have, and I'm going to have that in a bun. It's going to be amazing, and especially warmed up a little bit, it's going to be so good. So I wanted to go over the macros for that whole dinner that I had, and I will also put them on the screen for that whole meal. Hello, Jimmy. All right, so the total macros for that meal that you had seen my serving was 541 calories, 6 carbs, and 9 fat, and 67 grams of protein. So perfect macros. I know it's kind of like a lot of calories because you do have to stay under that 700 calories for your high protein days, but I usually have 2 meals a day, and even on my protein days, like my calories are low because I usually do have some of that protein sparing modified fast, like breads or bun with like some ham or whatever. So my calories usually, I can make them work for my day. This meal was very filling. Like, I feel absolutely stuffed. So that's another good thing about having the protein sparing modified fast bread. You guys know a lot of you are having the same feelings I am having, and it just fills you right up. So, all right, so that is the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it gave you some inspiration for Thanksgiving. I know Canadian Thanksgiving is coming up in a month's time, so this will give you some time to maybe try it before having it on Thanksgiving Day. But definitely make sure that you give it a try. It is absolutely delicious. We're all ready for fall. We're all ready for pumpkin everything. All right, don't forget to hit that red subscribe button. Give this video a like to let me know that you're liking my content, and don't forget to hit that notification bell so YouTube can notify you when I upload a new video. Thanks for watching.